I think menopause historically has been something that has been shrouded in mystery. Most of us women sort of enter this phase of life knowing very little to nothing about it because we don't talk about it amongst ourselves and we don't even talk about it intergenerationally. I mean, I can't imagine a phase of life that is as important as menopause that women walk into blindly. We would never let young girls walk into puberty with the amount of information that women walk into perimenopause with. But yet, that's how it's been. And I think that the reason behind that is it's actually probably threefold. I think that one, we don't have the education to pass down generationally. Most of what we know is lore or stereotypical information about menopause, such as all we know is it's a hot flash. I think that the normal place that you would expect to get this information from would be from your doctor. And there is now a generation of doctors who really have not been adequately trained in the care of menopausal women. And that's unfortunate because what that has led to, this combination of not knowing the phase of life and then not being able to get guidance about menopause, has left women really adrift. But fortunately, we are in a good place now because we have taken menopause out of the shadows. We are losing the stigma and the shame that's been associated with menopause because I think we didn't want to talk about it because, in addition to all the other physical and emotional discomfort that accompanies it, we have to deal with the fact that menopause is associated with aging. And we are in a youth-obsessed culture, and no one wants to admit to being a woman of a certain age. I think the biggest misconception about menopause is that it happens to old ladies. And old is a relative term, mind you. But I say most people think it happens in your 50s. But the transition or perimenopause really happens for most women, certainly by their mid 40s, and for some women as early as their mid 30s. We don't know when we're going to have our last period. We only know it in retrospect when we look back and say, wow, I haven't had another one. Well, if I tell you that the average age for women having had their last period is 51, well, that's average. There are going to be half as many women who have had their last period in their 40s, which means that, remember, that transition can take anywhere from 4 to 10 years, which means your symptoms may show up during perimenopause even when you're having regular periods. And I think that is what is confusing, not only for women, but for doctors. When you come in and you say, oh, well, I've got hot flashes, or I've got brain fog, or my libido is changed, all of these things that can happen that we associate with menopause start happening in that transitional period. And I think that is why so many women are confused and they don't know who to go to when they are bothered by these symptoms. And a lot of our care ends up being siloed out. A common complaint is palpitations. So you might go to a cardiologist for palpitations. You might go to an endocrinologist because you're gaining weight. You go to a psychiatrist because you're having more symptoms of anxiety and depression. But having someone who understands that all of these symptoms really fall under the rubric of perimenopause and menopause. That, I think, is reassuring for women. And it also sort of focuses what the treatment plan ought to be. You shouldn't be on 6 different medications for 6 different symptoms when one might do. And there are over 34 symptoms of menopause, and the list keeps growing. But it's a lot of things that you don't think about. Thinning hair, hypertension. Women who have very severe hot flashes are more susceptible to developing diabetes and weight gain and changes in your body composition. All of these things go together. And I think that it is reassuring for everyone involved when you know that, wow, that brain fog that I'm having right now is really due to some changes in how my brain is really being organized at this point. It does not mean that this is a warning sign of incipient Alzheimer's disease. And I think that women worry about these things. They are most concerned about, why are these things happening when I have not changed anything in my lifestyle, in my diet, or even the things that are going on in my life? And once you know that, you'll say, phew, at least I know what it is and I know where to go for help. And that is why in my book, that when I talk about perimenopause and menopause, I talk about it in the context of the totality of the things that happen to women in midlife. Nothing happens in isolation. And menopause has profound effects on every organ system in your body, not just your reproductive system. And that's something I want women to understand, is that menopause affects everything. The presence or absence of estrogen in your system affects your skin, your hair, your nails, your eyes, whether or not you are able to, how you are performing sexually, dryness, painful. I mean, I could go on and on, but I don't want to depress you, because remember, I never give you bad news unless I give you good news. And we do know how to fix it if you can get to the right person or to the right system that will fix it for you. But here's the reality. There are only about 1,500 certified menopause practitioners in the country. Now, do you have to be a menopause practitioner to treat menopause? No, you don't. But that at least, allows that you have had some training in this and you know how to do this. The overwhelming majority of doctors, even OBGYNs, have not been trained in and don't know how to treat menopause. And if you look at OBGYNs, if they don't know how to treat menopause, I guarantee you your cardiologist or your endocrinologist or your internist does not know how to treat it either. And that is the knowledge gap that we are working on. And thank goodness, we are finally at the point where medical educators are realizing, oh yeah, women, midlife, they need stuff. Maybe we should talk about it. And I have never been more encouraged than I am today that we are finally going to get good information to women, because I really do believe that we have been making decisions and asking women to make decisions without good information. And they've actually been making these decisions about how to navigate menopause really based on fear, not on good scientific information.